What is happening, Dolphins fans? And welcome to another episode of the Finn's Tailgate with your host, El Capitan. Tonight, on the tailgate party that never seems to stop. Well, like we've been doing on Tuesdays, we got a special guest host. And me and this guest host that I'll introduce here momentarily. We got a lot to talk about. This team is crumbling right before our very eyes. From the Buffalo game with just a poor performance from the offense, inevitably ending up with our quarterback running for a first down and not sliding and going to sleep and having, the bad optics of fencing again, to then having from Thursday Night Football 10 days to prepare for a long West Coast trip to Seattle to face the Seahawks, a team that is defense is high ranking against the pass, but against the rush struggles. You're bringing in your backup quarterback in Skylar Thompson, and the game plan was atrocious. The execution, the urgency, the everything with the Miami Dolphins offense was putrid, pathetic. You insert adjective here because it was that. It was terrible. It was terrible to watch, terrible to live through. We called the game live on here. We stayed on extra late afterwards running the post-game show because it was just maddening. It was maddening. And it's an embarrassment to this franchise and this organization, the type of football product that the Miami Dolphins offense is putting out there right now. And we're going to get into all of that directly. But also, the season don't stop because the Dolphins aren't prepared for it. It doesn't. Season doesn't quit because the Dolphins are ill-prepared. It doesn't. And, we got football coming up. We got a primetime game against, by all accounts, a terrible Tennessee team that in any given scenario with the Miami Dolphins of yesteryear, I would say is a layup game. Will Levis is playing like crap. And, to me, this is a team we should, I don't want to say dog walk, but at the beginning of the season, before what I've seen these past 3 weeks, I would say this is a team we would beat, no problem. This is a W. Everybody putting their little L's and W's next to the schedule. This is one everyone put W on. And yeah, we might, here's the sad fact, right? A team in the Tennessee Titans that by all accounts doesn't have their collective answer at quarterback. Will Levis might be the guy, might not be the guy, but they're not certain about it, and nobody is, right? The Dolphins are a team that now has to get up for them. Like, this is a team we got, this is becoming a rivalry all of a sudden. This is becoming a game that the Dolphins got to, be prepared for. Like, what? This is an organization we are in a different class then. But not really. Not now. Not now. This is a team we should be looking through. A team that, caught us slipping last year, which played us hard, which began the spiral last season for the Miami Dolphins on primetime, mind you. Now we got revenge to seek. Like, that's, I hear fans talking about this game coming up, and they're like, hey, Dolphins got to be thinking themselves in the locker room. We want payback for last year. And in a perfect world, I would agree with that. This team don't give a shit about payback. This team ain't jumping up for payback against the Tennessee Titans. Like, we're going to get into a lot of that stuff, man, because we're going to talk about what's transpired. We're going to talk about what's around the yonder. We're going to talk about the state of this organization and team and fan base, to be honest with you. And I'm going to bring up, after the intro, my special guest, John Christolakis, a.k.a. White Pepper, a.k.a. The meme troll on X. Because I'll tell you what, for anybody who's not following John at White Pepper on X right now, he's giving away gold all day long. He gives away absolute gold. I'm talking tweets that regularly see the 100,000 in views on it because they're hilarious, and he's on it. And you can literally, just real quick before I start the intro and bring John up here, I've met John, when I first started coming around here. John actually was more of a YouTube cat when I first met him, right? And John's got this, I don't know, this like tone with his sense of humor and his stuff. And it's funny, like when I see his tweets and when I see his like memes that he makes, I can like hear his voice with his tone that he's on it. He's hilarious with it. But hit the like button on the way in. If you're watching on X, Twitch, wherever, come over to YouTube, subscribe over here, become part of the Finn's Tailgate, and let's get right into it.
Turner Yell makes the stop in the secondary for Denver. 1st and 10. The fake. Good block in there, and down it goes. Caught at the 30. This is the dynamic hill. He's in for six. Tyreek Hill. Touchdown. What a block.
Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be fucking sour, take a cold shower, scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder, and all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off, it's these fucking clowns who were all taught they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it.
Yes, again, welcome to the Finn's Tailgate. I am your host, El Capitan. Hit the like button on the way in. Subscribe if you're new. I'm going to bring out my next guest here on these Tuesday shows, special programming, guest co-host, John Christolakis, a.k.a. at White Pepper GDF on X. Make sure you guys give him a follow. And without any further ado, here he is. John, what is happening, buddy?
Yo, what's going on, Chris? That's a fucking oh, am I allowed to curse on this?
Yes, we are. Yeah,
Oh, thank God. All right.
I could never get away with not fucking cursing, bro. I couldn't do it, dude. Couldn't do it.
Especially with this fucking team. I mean, like that's
bro,
it's every other word.
It's an impossibility.
Yeah, you got a great intro. I'm loving it. I'm loving the vibe that you guys got going on over there, and I love the fact that you guys are keeping it real. You're not sugarcoating everything, because if you look around social media, you're going to see a lot of people in this fan base still cling on to hope. And I've been there. I've been there 2 years ago, and then I started seeing the cracks in the glass a little bit, and I started to see how it started to spread and things didn't change. And I got sick and tired of it.
I like to think that you started seeing, kind of like what politicians do to us, right? Like it's all lip service, and really they're pickpocketing the whole time. It's a farce. It's a lie, and they serve up these narratives of excuses and blame on things that they're fine with blaming to protect the ones that are really at fault, right? Like right now, I mean, dude, we're a couple of bad losses away from this organization serving up Mike McDaniel to the Wolves and pinning all the blame on him just after his extension, on time too, for that 3rd-year fire, right? And I don't think he's necessarily, not saying that it ain't his fault why this team is struggling, especially on offense, but I don't think he's the problem either. I think the problem is inherent, that this team prioritizes glitz and glamour. They prioritize window dressing. They prioritize being relevant and not winning.
Well, I'll tell you a couple of things. With regards to Mike McDaniel specifically, obviously it looked like, he's first of all a coach that's way in over his head. He's not a defensive minded coach. He barely could. His schemes have been figured out already. And I think that there's nothing left in the bucket for him to use. I think that, he hitched his wagon to Tua, an injury prone quarterback, and now that Tua's been paid this exuberant amount of money, now that he's injured, who are you going to point the finger at? And unfortunately, it looks like the scapegoat's going to be Mike McDaniel in this case. Chris Greer, I think, is gonna survive all of this because, like I said before,
That man's a snake, buddy. That man's a snake.
he knows where all the bodies are buried. He
Slippery.
has all the skeletons in his closet. So I honestly think that he's gonna escape, any termination, especially the fact that Stephen Ross is as old as he is, and I don't think he wants to put himself through looking for another general manager and going through that whole process again. So I think he's going to stick it out with Greer until he sells the team or until he passes it down to his daughter. And I think that Mike McDaniel, unfortunately, is going to be the one that has to fall on that sword, and rightfully so, because he sold us a bill of goods, and he didn't take his role serious enough to say, these are the problems that I have to work on. Instead, he let his ego take effect and think that just because you have stars like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle on your team, that everything is going to be okay, when it's not. And right now, what you're seeing in the fan base, and this is a beautiful thing to see, is that you've had Jalen Waddle get paid. Tyreek Hill's been paid. Tua has now been paid. And now there's nowhere for them to run because now
In a
accountability,
corner.
exactly. Now accountability comes into play, and the fan base wants wins. The fan base is craving for a playoff win. And now you've sold them this, this bill of goods saying we're all in. The window is open, and now the window is shut right now because Tua is injured. When you could have held on to him for his fifth year and see what he could have done. Because what would have been the worst case scenario? He balls out, he wins a playoff game, he might even get us the AFC Championship, and we have to pay him anyway. But instead,
even if we have to pay him the most because he was so successful, so what? At least we're not here left holding the bag like we are right now.
right.
It did never did it ever make sense to me why. I understood why, the pros to it. You get out in front, and then the long term, it's a good deal, all that stuff. But it didn't outweigh the cons of what could happen if it blew up in your face, how we're currently sitting, versus to what were the cons if we waited through the fifth year. Like we put
The
him,
ball
we put
was
we put a
in
tag on him. I mean, what the fuck, dude? It was
the
dumb.
ball was in Chris Greer's court the whole time. And he could have easily said to Tua in his camp, and shout out to I forgot their agency. I forgot what the agency is called again.
Athletes First.
Athletes First, which is literally bending over the NFL right now
Yep.
in all these crazy contracts, and no one has stood up to them. And they've
They're
let
scared.
they literally have let this agency run amok throughout the NFL, and someone's got to put a stop to it, because now you're going to be having players asking exuberant amount of money, and there's not enough cap room to go around. So,
Bro, they held real quick, John, to that point about Athletes First. They held, like, they did a big time power move. 3 quarterbacks left to be paid were all represented by them, and Jordan Love, Tua Tagovailoa, and Dak Prescott, right? And they waited till Dak get paid last because he should be paid the most. But they obviously were aware of what the other teams were paying the whole time. Why wouldn't they be? They're all represented by the same thing,
right.
And 2 of those 3 quarterbacks that got paid are injured right now. One looks to be almost done with his career, and they let that organization get one over on the NFL, and they're going to continue to do so. That's their credo. They literally want to have enough quarterbacks under their representation umbrella to control the quarterback market. And effectively, if you do that, you control the NFL.
No, and that's exactly what they're doing, and it's sad to see, because I noticed that early on with how they've been negotiating contracts and how firm they've been in their stance. But with Tua was that exception. Tua was that time for the for the NFL to say, no, 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 we're not going to be paying you. Chris Greer, all he had to do was walk away from the table and tell Tua, listen, you're an injury-prone quarterback. Let's see if you can make it through your fifth year. Let's see if you can make it through your fifth year, and let's see if you deserve all that amount of money. Because I'm sick and tired of players on their contract year outperforming the way that they usually do and getting the bag, and then sitting after they sign that lucrative deal and not performing to the caliber that we expect them to. So then you have players like Javon Holland now. He's looking to get his bag. Jalen Phillips is going to want to get his bag. I don't think
Javon Holland, represented by Athletes First as well, just so you know.
You know, the Patriots, whenever there was a player that wanted to get their bag, you know what they did? They moved on and they found somebody in the draft or they found somebody in free agency to replace. The problem with the Miami Dolphins is they don't have no foundation to set their foot on and say, listen, we have a strong quarterback that's there, that's not, injury prone, that could, withstand the hits and can still take a team and lead us with rookie wide receivers or rookie tight end, whatever it may be. That is the difference between the New England Patriots and how they did things. And you see it with the Pittsburgh Steelers, too. Look what the Pittsburgh Steelers are doing. Absolutely amazing things with not even the same star power that the Dolphins have. But because the Miami Dolphins are this Frankenstein type monster where it's just mix matching and you're plugging in players that don't really belong, but there's no chemistry on this team.
I
There's no
love that. I
foundation
love
on
what you
this
said
team.
there, John. A Frankenstein-like type of team. That's exactly what we are. We are a Frankenstein organization. We're just taking in, we want blue eyes and we want these types of strong hands. They're just mashing together and there's no cohesion, right? And the reality to me, how it looks ultimately, this team has no accountability, has no leadership, has no discipline, has no fucks to give. That's what this team acts like time and time again. It's all about number one eventually. These players, like you said, they get up when it's contract time. They get that contract, and then there's the letdown afterwards. That's what we've come to know here as Miami fans.
And we could have been a great team if we had done one thing and one thing only, and that was build the trenches. But because our ego, not our ego, but let's just say a certain GM by the name of Christopher Greer had to say, no, 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 it's okay. We have all these weapons on the offense and we have a quarterback that could get the ball out as fast as he can to these wide receivers. They didn't once think to say to themselves, what if Tua gets injured? Is there a plan B if Tua were to be injured? Now you're seeing let's just say, everything crashing down on them, and now they have no plan B, and they're right now grasping at straws to figure out what to do. Are we going to be sellers at the trade deadline? Are we going to try and continue to fight until Tua gets back? What if Tua comes back and he's not healthy and he gets another concussion like he did 2 years ago when he got a concussion in the Bengals game, and then he got a further concussion in the Green Bay Packers game, and that whole season was put on Skylar Thompson's shoulders for that playoff game. But where does the Miami Dolphins organization go from here? Right now, I've seen this fan base be the loudest they've been on social media. They want accountability. They definitely want someone to come to the altar and pay the price for basically telling the fan base, hey, we have a great team. We're going to go far. We're going to increase the ticket prices for the year. Not only that, we're not even going to give the season ticket holders a gift. You know what we're going to send them? We're going to send them a brochure to upgrade their season tickets so they can spend more money.
Ali has something about it too, right? Like he has this theory. Now, his theory ultimately is that they're trying to build the value up to sell the team, and he's not wrong, right? Because the value is at its highest it's ever been. It's over $7 billion for this organization, and he's trying to sell 15% for essentially what he bought the team for at $1.1 billion. Okay, that's what he originally purchased the team for. Well, $1.1 billion. He sells 15% of it. He's going to get his initial investment back. Meanwhile, building it up to get as much value out of this team humanly possible with the assets of the players and then the ticket sales while not spending the expenses that need to come. So at the bottom line, businesses do this all the time. Bottom line, their profits to their expenses is exuberant. So then they can get this piece of the action. If we're looking at it as a business sense, it makes sense. And it's kind of hard to argue that when you look at how they're treating the fans, how much everything's gone up, how, they expect, again, and I've been preaching this for a minute now, John. I don't know if you heard me say this, but what difference is this Miami Dolphins team today than we've come to know over the last 20 some odd years? We're still a middling organization with middling results, a fringe playoff team. The only difference I can see now is that we have all of this window dressing that makes us appear to be different than what we really are when the rubber meets the road. And it's amazing. There's only two organizations I've seen do this. Miami Dolphins is one and the Cowboys is the other. We are able to put together off-season type of hype that warrants the type of profits that an organization would get if they had postseason success. Stephen Ross took $1.1 billion with an additional billion and turned that into $7+ billion in this short couple of decades that he's had it, the 20 years he's had it, whatever it is. We'll just call it a cool 20. That is an investment that people would kill for, and he didn't win one fucking playoff game this whole time. Not fucking one. Every owner in all of the NFL is pulling their hair out wondering how in the fuck did this guy make $5 billion in 20 years and not produce any results. There's not a product on fucking earth that would last with the results that this fan base expects, that is promised, that is guaranteed with all this stuff, and then laughed at in our face when we have questions. It is amazing the type of shit that this organization feeds this fan base, and it's even equally, if not doubly, amazing to myself the type of booty clapping, them cheeks clapping that they do for when the organization feeds them the line of bullshit excuses that they ultimately give. They're like, oh, yeah, see, it was always Tua. Tua was carrying Mike McDaniel. That's the new fucking narrative. See, I mean, bro, it's the blame game when the reality is their business is booming. They're happy. We're fucked. They don't care.
And I have to point out, because a part of me didn't like Stephen Ross early on through, I would say, 75% of his ownership, his time as owner, but he opened the checkbook up to have all these players come to Miami. He paid that price. He did right by the fans. I think he was sold something like the fans were, a dream, saying that we could actually take this team to a Super Bowl. And they didn't do enough research, or Chris Greer at the end of the day is the one to blame. You look at your general manager, your general manager comes to you and says, listen, I need this amount of money for this amount of money for that. And, Stephen Ross is like, you got it. Whatever you want, you got it. I want a championship. Let's do this. And now you got to imagine what's going through Stephen Ross's mind.
Hold on, John. Hold on. And I hear you, right? But there's only so much fucking money he can spend on the team. There's a cap. What is he really doing? What is he really doing differently than other teams? He's not. I hear this narrative, and you said it. He opens up the checkbook. He'll do whatever it takes. He don't give a fuck about whatever it takes to win, bro. He cares about whatever it takes to make a profit. He has treated this organization like every other real estate investment. He has taken his investment and quadrupled it. And all that other stuff be damned. And that's really, at the end of the day, if Chris Greer's job is to do anything, it's not to build a winning football team. It's to make him money. And Chris Greer, that's probably why he won't get fired, because he is doing his job. And he's going to serve up the next head for the chop and block. Off with his head. The next person to blame around here, because Chris Greer can do it great. Mike Tannenbaum did it really good for him too. Until it didn't work, right? Until Tannenbaum got his, until Chris Greer took his job. Because that's what he prioritizes. Who's going to yes me? Who's not going to build me a great team? Who's going to make me money? And he's right. It worked. That Alabama quarterback with all those Alabama fans that followed Tua down here, that international success that this team has found abroad because of having Tua on this team, has opened up an entire amount of money different to the Miami Dolphins organization. And if Chris Greer can guarantee to do that again, That's all that really matters to this owner,
I mean,
because it ain't him. Go ahead.
no, I mean, you're right. I mean, you look at the F1 racing, you look at, Messi being in Miami, he's broadened his horizons past the Miami Dolphins. There's no question about that. But at the end of the day, his ego, he doesn't want to get embarrassed. He doesn't want the Miami Dolphins to embarrass him.
That I can agree upon.
And I think that's going to sting if he has to go back Monday Night Football against the Tennessee Titans, a team that embarrassed you last primetime game.
Mm-hmm.
And if that happens again and again, how much is Stephen Ross going to take before he either says, I'm firing Chris Greer or I'm selling the team? And those
So
are his two options.
well, he's not going to sell the team because the team is making way too much money. He's going to sell 15% and get his initial investment. And he wants to give it to his daughter. Like he said over and over again, she doesn't want it right now because she's rebuilding all the slums that they purchased in the Detroit surrounding areas that they're flipping right now.
Right.
That's the facts. Again, this is a family that prioritizes making gazillions of dollars, and they gentrify low-income areas with the highfalutin things and run off the indigenous folk, for lack of a better term. And that's what's happening to the Miami Dolphins. The diehards that have been here for years. You know how many diehard Dolphin fans I know that just don't. They watch the games here and there, but they got the old Dolphins gear, but they don't partake like they used to. Not like how we do. We're last of a dying breed, buddy. A lot of us are.
Have you ever met old Dolphins fans? Do you know how callous they are? Do you know how callous they've become?
Oh yeah,
They
that's my whole
they've
family's Dolphin fans, buddy, all the way back from the jump.
no, they've endured so much more than we have that at that point it's become numb to them, and the expectation is no longer there for this team to go anything further. Probably a playoff team, a playoff game here or there, but I don't want that for my kid. I don't want that for my generation. I want us to be a part of a franchise that, with all the investments that we put into it, our time, our money, our emotions away from our family, things like that, we need to get some return back.
I
And the
agree.
fact of the matter is, we haven't got return back. And now you're seeing all that unfold in the fan base when you see players starting to get their bag on the Miami Dolphins. Tua got injured. I saw a lot of backlash this time around to Tua. Why did you do that? Why did you put your head down? Why would you the first time when he wasn't paid, everyone was, oh my God, is Tua gonna be okay? Like the second time around, everyone stood back and said, well, he has generally generational money now. He's gonna be set for life. His family's gonna be set for life. Jalen Waddle is going to be set for life. Tyreek Hill is going to be set for life. All these players have gotten their bag. Jalen Ramsey. And now us fans who have put more money into this without any enjoyment back are now coming to the altar and realizing, you know what? We got to start holding this fan base accountable. We got to take our
Mhm.
Dolphins goggles off, and we got to start seeing what the team is for what it is. And it's a pile of shit.
It
It's
is.
a
But
disgusting pile of shit.
but here's the thing, John. Everyone can see it's a pile of shit right now. Even those that are able to lie to themselves. And don't get me wrong, the second that John dropped there for a second, he'll be back, I'm sure. This the second that the narrative can get spun in a positive way, there's plenty of people that are gonna dive right back out in front for this franchise to make the excuses that they're being fed by their masters. And that's really the problem. I think it's a self accountability for us fans to not just remain objective, but convicted, right? Convicted. That's what we're missing. We continuously lose our convictions as a fan base for hope. And I get it, right? It's it's the last bit of childhood memories we hold, right? Because the hope is all you have sometimes. But we lose our convictions on the facts that we know to buy the lies that they sell to feed the hope we shouldn't have. And really what happens ultimately is the organization, the team, the franchise manipulates the fan base in this way.
Yep.
And that's something we've got to recognize. We got to call out the propaganda. We got to see the forest through the trees a little bit. And I'm already seeing a couple things line up. One, we already talked about, that if this thing goes south, Mike McDaniel's taking it on the chin, and they're going to feed him to the wolves being us, and I guarantee I can already see it because I know this organization so well. And somebody at 30 minutes into this episode on Tuesday, somebody clip it, because I'm telling you, if Mike McDaniel gets fired, here's what they're going to sell. Mike McDaniel, now this is going to come out from one of the beat writers that gets the scoop. That's how it works always. And then it'll end up on, ESPN and something like that. Mike McDaniel became overwhelmed and can't manage the star power on the teams, which is crazy because he was managing it just fine last year. But that'll be one of the points. Number two, it was ultimately Mike McDaniel's decision to pay Tua, ultimately his decision to ride with the line that they possess, and that's why Chris Grier did what he did, and that Chris Grier is not accountable because he's only doing what is necessary and for the coach, giving them whatever they need all the time. That is what is going to happen. This is the story arc that will follow after the firing of Mike McDaniel, if it happens. The other flip side of it is and I lost it, bro, but there's this propaganda is the type of stuff that's en route to us. That's what's coming, John.
No, and I think you're spot on, because that's the Miami Dolphins front office MO now for the past how many decades. And I think fans are just, they're tired of it. They don't care. They don't want to hear the excuses. They just want to see wins. They want to see a return on investment. And it's hard, 2 weeks into the season, your franchise quarterback going down again, and now what do you do for the rest of the 16 weeks while you're a Dolphins fan? Okay, Mike McDaniel gets fired. Now what? Do we go Vrabel? Do we go Bill Belichick? Like, do we sell
Vrabel would be pretty cool, honestly.
Do we start? Yeah, no, Vrabel would be a great.
Vrabel would be pretty great, honestly, because I think he would at least bring what I want this organization to be about: blue collar, hard nosed fucking football, which is the only time the Dolphins ever have success that is real success, not running up scores on piece of shit opponents, not letting stars do star things every now and again. Down in, down out, never out of a game, always in a game and grinding out wins comes on when the Dolphins are a hard-nosed football team. And it's always few and far between when that is. I got to get this super chat from Michael K. He says, you forgot McDaniel enters 30 rehab? What's 30 rehab? I don't know what that means. 30 rehab. I don't get that.
I don't get what he's trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah. Joe Riss says, I haven't heard a word about Frank Smith. What responsibilities does he have in this? That's a great question. What responsibilities is falling on Frank Smith right now, John? That could be, honestly, Joe Riss pointed out something good. They could serve up Frank Smith on this, saying he's the one that's been calling the offense since the start of the year. That it's been all his baby. Because remember, they talked about it this offseason. He was going to get the opportunity to be more involved in the play call and all that stuff. Maybe they serve him up and blame it all on him, and Mike McDaniel gets to keep his job. But that's what the Dolphins will ultimately do, serve up somebody.
Yeah, I don't think, unfortunately, I don't think there's enough steam for anyone else to take the blame other than Mike McDaniel at the end of the day. I mean, like I said before, he hitched his wagon to Tua, and if Tua doesn't work out as your franchise quarterback and you go into the draft, going to the 2025 draft looking at, first round for another quarterback, Mike McDaniel is not going to be there for it. It's going to be another head coach who's going to get the quarterback that he wants, because Mike McDaniel, like I said, hitched his wagon to Tua, told Ross and Greer, I could win with this man, took hundreds of pieces of film of Tua, showed him that he didn't suck, babied him, didn't mentor him, babied him. And instead, he didn't do the one thing that Brian Flores was able to do. and that was take command of his locker room. Instead, he let the players do whatever they wanted, and now the inmates are running the asylum. And now you see people like Skylar Thompson laughing on the sidelines while being not blown out, but while having a horrible game. You're seeing players act a certain way
They're
after a
entitled.
game. They're entitled. There is an epidemic in the Miami Dolphins locker room that's not being talked about. And that is the lack of accountability amongst themselves as teammates to each other, saying, listen, we're going to fight for every yard. We're going to fight for every play. We're going to make sure that we give 1,000% in every game. And I haven't seen
Mm.
that. I haven't seen
So
that now for the past 3 years. And that falls on Mike McDaniel's shoulders because he's the one that's supposed to take command of that locker room. And when you have coaches like Mike Tomlin who who don't have the star power that the Dolphins have,
consistency,
but are able to create an atmosphere, a balance in that locker room, I
winning.
demand I will I will I I have the respect of the locker room. We are going to win and we're going to have a good time. But I'm going to be on your ass every second of the day if you're not pulling your weight. Mike McDaniel is not letting is doesn't take that type of leadership. He lets the players do what they want to do. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, there's a bunch of divas in our locker room that, I'm sorry to
But
say,
everybody's chummy. Everybody's each other's friends.
everyone's, how many last year there was a problem. I had a major problem last year. We couldn't beat a team over 500, but for some reason, anytime there was a touchdown, there was the cellies, the
The
celebrations.
celebration dance.
They
Yep.
they practiced those, but they couldn't practice beating teams above 500. They couldn't research. They couldn't invest their time and effort. The great athletes in the NFL are the ones that win games, go home, and study for the next opponent. Tom Brady sat with his coach and said, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go after this person or that person as a defender and pick apart their defense. That's what winners do.
Yeah.
And there's no
Bill
mentality
Belichick
like
at
that
2:00 in the morning, still in the facility, game planning on a Friday night. You know what I'm saying? Only to find Tom Brady in there lifting weights. It's just there's a different
Yeah.
type of mentality, and you said a couple of things there. I wanted to point on about this is a take that I had when we had Flores, when we fired Flores, when we hired McDaniel, whenever it'll come to fruition that we fire McDaniel. And this is something I noticed when we had Adam Gase, right? Actually, I noticed it before then, but really put together the take. Ultimately, the reasons you hire someone are the reasons you fire someone. Just like when you're young and dating and you break up with a girl, you date a new chick that is the opposite and you love all these things. Well, ultimately, those things you loved about him are the things you hate and why you break up. And Mike McDaniel being a genius, going from Brian Flores, who was a hard-nosed, no-nonsense, takes no talent, not going to be your friend, not going to sugarcoat it type of guy, then they go the polar opposite, the most loving, friendly, gonna be there, supportive. Let's take a timeout and talk about our feelings type of guy. That's ultimately what's going to get him fired. And the things where we're talking about him being a genius, talking about him being this, talking about him being that. I can remember when 2016 Dolphins are playing a game and they pan to Adam Gase on the sideline and he's on the tablet and he's over there and they're like Adam Gase, and they were talking about the Adam Gase, the guru, the genius. He's over there drawing up plays. Dolphins got him on the ropes right now. Blah 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 blah. And then fast forward to the year we fire him. We're all like, this idiot's over here. The team is falling apart, and he's got his head stuck in the fucking iPad like a dumbass.
Yeah.
It's the same exact thing that ends up turning around on it. And I want to shout out to Adam, who gives a nice donation here, $20 donation. He says counterpoint, and this is a brilliant. This goes right on point to how Stephen Ross has made so much money for so little success when it comes to winning football games versus to New England. He gives a perfect point, counterpoint. New England in 2000, New England was worth $464 million, and Miami was worth 472. New England today is worth 7.9, and Miami today is worth 7.1. You're telling me six Super Bowls, 5 Super Bowls, 6, whatever it is, only bought them $900 million more in net worth. And remember, Miami is a team in a state that has 2 other football teams. New England isn't a city, it's a fucking region. They got all those states up in the New England area that root for it. And that team is only worth 800 million more.
That's so insane.
It's that this is my point. Like, winning, he's winning, all right. He's winning the stock market. He's winning the money game. He's winning the money ball. We are literally in a Ponzi scheme with this owner. And I will give him this, whoever he's paying in the media, from small beat writer places on up to whatever he's doing, his image with the fans in this organization is squeaky clean. And I'm telling you, the dollars and cents tells me he has never given a fuck about winning. He's cared about that.
It's hard to argue. I'm not gonna lie. I hope at some point he does care enough to push this team, or to push the front office to develop.
John, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Please forgive me, but I think your hope is the same hope I have with this billionaire. Is that we hope that because he's close to the end of his existence, that his vanity will get us a Super Bowl, not his desire to be a football Super Bowl winner. That's what we're hoping. We're hoping his vanity will push us over the edge as a team and an organization.
It's true.
That's what we're hoping for.
It's true. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't either.
Not in his reign as owner, unfortunately. But look what we're left with. The same year in and out. Constant letdowns, constant, feels like betrayal. Like, and now, but you asked a question earlier on. You said, what makes this year different than any other year before?
Mm-hmm.
Hope. There was hope this year, or these past 2 years.
Yeah, I would say, I've never, again, and when we talk about firing Greer, yet in the same breath, we would all agree that this is the best roster the Dolphins have ever possessed these last 2 seasons, bar none. Bar none, bro.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. I don't know a team that's built the way that we are that can't win one playoff game. And now look at us. We're 1-2, scraping at the bottom of the barrel, trying to figure out whether or not we have to replace Tua, trying to figure out whether or not we have to fire Mike McDaniel. And
again, and this all spiders back to your earlier point of the ideology. We've babied Tua, Mike McDaniel, and this organization and everyone alike, because they would never bring anyone in that could potentially outshine him in practice, because his fragile bitch ego, and that's right, I'm gonna call it bitch ego because that's the facts, wouldn't even allow us to bring in a backup that has any competency. And look no further to all the backups the Dolphins could have had in these past couple of years that are winning right now. We're talking Sam Darnold, Andy Dalton just fucking put on a clinic the other day. Like, any of these guys, the sad fact is 36-year-old Andy Dalton in practice probably outshines Tua and then some with talent and operations ability. And they can't allow that to be on his ego. And that's the real reason why. That's the real reason why we're here, because not only do we have to protect our investment because it's financially that, but we can't allow the fans anything to root for outside of what we've now said you gotta root for because I paid them.
Yep. Just you hit it on the head. And having no backup plan, having no answer in case Tua were to go down, signaled everything that you just said. Because if it were anything different, we would have had a plan B. We would have had an Andy Dalton. We would have had a backup quarterback in place already that knew the playbook, that knew how to run this offense. But no.
Yeah, our hope right now is Tyler Huntley, bro, that just got here yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Got here the other day. We're hoping on a prayer again. It's not too much of a stretch of a hope and a prayer than we had on Skyler last week.
And they never even said that he's going to be starting. They said, it's a possibility.
How could he? This intricate fucking offense, it's going to take a second for homie,
You took Tim Boyle from the Jets,
Yep.
and made him your third string quarterback. You had
Yep.
Skylar Thompson, who you knew wasn't going to be capable to run this
Bro, if
offense.
they didn't know, and did that anyhow, then holy fuck, we got a real problem. We got a real problem.
Yeah, it's
If they can't,
malpractice.
it's complete malpractice, bro. Complete. If they didn't know and they were really really confident for realsies, as the kids say,
For Riri.
for wee wees, the holy, are you fucking kidding me? We got a real problem here.
It wouldn't put it past me. It wouldn't put it past me that possibly, Mike McDaniel was so in over his head, was so blinded to the fact that maybe Skylar wasn't as good or didn't know the playbook as well. I'll never forget this. I was in the car smoking a cigarette, and it was Monday morning, and I looked at the stats for Skylar Thompson, and I saw a 4.9
I
QBR
seen that,
rating.
dude. I seen that too. That
And
is,
I posted that to the timeline on Twitter, and I was like,
I seen it.
how is this even possible?
I didn't even know you could get it, bro. Like, how do you throw? What did you
How
throw
do
it
you
19
miss
times that game?
Bro, like Andrevius said, like, I think you get 5 points for writing your name. I don't know how you end up with a 4.9 QBR.
You
And
misspelled his name. He
yeah,
misspelled his own name.
and
That's
you
what happened.
sit there and practice, and you sit there in the locker room, and you tell the media that we have faith in Skylar Thompson, and you let the man throw a 4.9 QBR onto the field, and you think that that's going to solve your problems in hopes that Tua will come back in 4 weeks and continue this run at winning games and stringing wins along. It's asinine. It's malpractice.
So
It's
color,
negligence. It's whatever you want to
color,
call it.
color makes a great take on this scenario right here, because look no further than how the 4.9 QBR of Skylar Thompson. It's just another ego stroke for Tua Tagovailoa. This team has to have me, and it's not like we can depend on Tua, right? We can't. In a perfect world with perfect weather against a team that's going to play zone on us, it doesn't have superstars on defense. Tua's going to dice them up. A team that's under 500, Tua's going to rip them up. You know what I'm saying? But
I want a quarterback that could beat Josh Allen. That's what I've settled on in my mind. For all the shit that Dolphin fans say about the Bills and about Josh Allen, right
Josh Allen's a
now,
damn good quarterback, bro.
he has 130 plus passer rating. He has 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He's taken the team, a lesser team, with no defense, with no Stephon Diggs, and he's done amazing things with it. I know, some of it could be contributed to their OC. I forgot his name. He's doing a phenomenal job too. The new OC that they got,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Well, they have stability now on their offense. They have
yes,
balance for the first time. They're not asking him to do those things other than when he feels like he can do them, rather than, hey, go out here and win me this football
no,
game.
he's doing what feels like the bare minimum, and he's being
They're
successful at
murdering
every
people.
facet. I mean, look what they did to the Jaguars. Look what they did to us. The closest game was the Cardinals game, but they're still putting up 30 plus points a game. Do you know how many points we're putting up averaging a game?
11.
We
We
are
are
what?
averaging right now 11 points a game this season.
We are the lowest. I think we're the bottom of the barrel. We're the
Oh, yeah, no.
last team.
I don't think anybody's averaging lower than 11 points a game right now, bro.
The New York Giants with Daniel Jones are putting up more points
Oh, yeah.
than Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. I got a stat for you. The Dolphins have scored a total of 33 points on offense these last 3 games. Andy Dalton scored more points in one start for the Carolina Panthers than the Dolphins have on offense all up to this point.
Well, it's obvious that Mike McDaniel is an offensive guru. I'm glad that we gave him that crown to wear, even though he didn't deserve it and didn't show any.
McGenius.
McGenius, yes, of
Yep.
course. Yale
Yeah.
University, and still can't figure out a defense and how to orchestrate around, a quarterback other than Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah.
A real
Yep.
genius. But no,
Yep.
this is what we as Dolphin fans come to expect. But like I said, this time around, everyone got paid, and we want answers because there's nobody. If you're a rational Dolphins fan, everybody. This is the most. I will say this: past 2 years, I would say we're the most divided. This year, under these circumstances, this is the most united I've
I would
ever
agree with
seen the
that
fan base, and I'm
because there's
glad to
nowhere
see
to
it.
hide now. All those people
Exactly.
who are willing to, repeat any sort of constructed stat board because there's so much stats, right? It's so much bullshit cherry picking the stats because they're able to put these graphics and this nonsense. There's these talking points, and everyone's talked so much shit to each other in this fan base about Tua and McDaniel, and for that one side of that narrative to get everything they want, while the other side comes to the table and says, "Fine, you have everything you want. Let's do it." Now there's nowhere to run and hide. This is the first time I ever seen Chris Greer really put himself in a corner, but I still think he's able to, he's able to fucking shift his
Slime
way
his
out of
way
that.
out.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, he'll slime his way right
The
out.
snake that he is.
I made this take, right? And if you're someone who is a football fan and you didn't follow the NFL, but say you played football, you played in college even, and all you watch is college ball.
Right.
If you didn't watch the first 3 quarters of the NFL season and only watched the fourth quarter and the playoffs, not the Super Bowl, because it's a completely separate animal. Everyone pulls everything out in that. But from the final quarter to the playoffs, it is a different style of game. And there's 2 ways you win those big games at the end of the year that you need to have against opponents that need to have their wins because everyone's trying to make that last-ditch effort for seeding to get into the playoffs. And then once you're in there, it's no holds barred. Even the refs don't call. They let them get a little bit more chippy. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, of course. They loosen up at the end.
There's ultimately 2 things that teams that have success in that final quarter and in the playoffs have. Number one, they have either one of 2 things you're going to need to win those, and you're going to need them both to win the Super Bowl. A defense that makes plays, a defense that gets takeaways, that gets big plays, and plays rough like that. And then on the flip side, a quarterback that makes plays. You can have a great wide receiver, and there's been great wide receivers that, they can kind of play out and do big things for their team, but you can't bank on that because not one guy that's catching the football can make it happen. It's going to take the one guy that's throwing the football to make it happen. And look no further than every couple of years we have somebody that has like a time where they're a wide receiver that can carry a team. Right now it's Justin Jefferson. More recently, in the past, it was Adams. He could totally, like a guy in the playoffs in triple coverage, can beat everybody, but it's not something you can bank on. You need a quarterback. Ultimately, you need a quarterback that can make plays and or a defense that can make plays. And that's it. That's what you're going to need come the end of the year when it's cold, when people are hurt, when people are tired, when teams are banged up and you're down to your third stringers or guys off the street. It's going to take those 2 things. And the Dolphins, for a short while there, back under Brian Flores, they possessed one of them. They had a defense that can make plays. Brian Flores didn't believe that he had a quarterback that can make plays. And ultimately, the Dolphins thought they did, and he lost his job because of it. Here we are with a pretty decent defense right now. I don't know if it's one that can make plays because right now they ain't scoring me points, right? They're not winning me football games.
I'll say Anthony Weaver has made some amazing second half adjustments.
Oh, he's amazing.
And
I love it.
Definitely there is a, what is it called? Potential for what you're looking for in a Super Bowl caliber defense. Definitely,
Yes.
I could see them, you need a quarterback that can make plays. And I think everybody, even Tuaneers, because I was a Tuaneer, and I still like Tua, but I'll be the first person to tell you that Tua lacks 2 things: being able to extend the play, that playmaking ability, and the mental resiliency. I think that the moments get too big for him. I think you see it anytime there's a primetime game, and that his game is the main focus, and that he's very unsuccessful during primetime. I think that he doesn't have the mental aptitude to lead an NFL team to a championship in the NFL. College is different. I don't want to hear it. I think he's an accurate quarterback, but in this day and age, with the way the NFL is being played now, you need to extend the play. You need to run and to throw the ball in hopes, especially with the offensive line that he has. It's not like he has, an iron curtain in front of him where he's going to have 5 seconds to pass the ball.
John, he would agree with that take you made. And Mike McDaniel said as much, that's the next phase, along with the tight ends that seems to not be panning out. But that's another discussion.
Yeah, thank God we paid John Smith all that money for nothing.
Man, tell you what, glad we got 4 tight ends on this roster. It's really panning out. God. Anyhow, Tua lost weight, got a little bit more lean muscle. Ultimately, it goes back to the number one concern I've always had with the guy: health and ability to play in this league. Because of his size, because of his injury history. And the facts still are, Tua has had 1 year in the past 7 years healthy playing football, going back to college. 1. Last year. The young man has been injured and injury prone forever. Whether it was fingers, hips, ribs, concussions, it's a myriad. This fucking guy ain't going to live to see 35 at this fucking rate. He's not. At least not a fucking 35 you want. I don't know. Maybe the money could purchase you a better life, but God, how much of it's going to cost to be a regular 35-year-old? I don't know. He's an athlete, whatever. Again, it's a hard pill to swallow to face the facts that the guy a lot of people want to work out, because when it's working, man, it's pretty. I'll be right there when it's working and it's popping and, it's fucking gorgeous.
I said that the worst thing that ever happened to the Miami Dolphins in the past 2 years was
Arizona game.
Scoring 70 points against the Denver Broncos.
Oh yeah.
That game solidified in the front office that we don't need an offensive line, that Tua is our quarterback, that we're going to be just fine with all these overpowered weapons on the offense. And that, I would say, instilled hope in all of us, because we saw that 70 points
Stupid.
against the Denver Broncos later on beat the Bills.
I know.
We scored 70 points. We had Achane rushing for 200 yards. I mean, we were going crazy.
Bro, they were bringing it. They brought in guys to try to throttle back, and they still fucking went off.
They still went off.
Chris Brooks busted like a 50-plus yarder on that one. That's the 4th string running back they put in there. You know what I'm saying? He ain't even on the goddamn team no more.
And you know that's it. That game padded so many stats. It made, I don't know how to say it, but it created it was like a fugazi.
Yes.
Whatever you want to say.
It's just like what Alabama does, buddy. It's just like what all these Big Ten schools do. They fucking they have a game against a team that's really worthy of them, and it's 20-21, and then they go play Ball State and rack up 70 fucking points. You know what I'm saying? It's stat padding, and it's how you get paid. It's how you get trophies. It's how you get fucking accolades. It's how you go, I'm gonna hit 2,000 yards of receiving this year.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to say anymore other than, even if Mike McDaniel were to get fired, even if Chris Greer were to get fired, we're still going to be here.
We're an ideology problem, bro.
We're still going to have a team that doesn't fight on Sundays, that spends more of their time goofing off. I mean, what other franchise has a fucking slide in their facility? Why the fuck is there a slide? A ping pong table, I understand, but a fucking slide? How old are you? What is our fucking culture in Miami right now? What are we? Are we a daycare center? Like, is it just so that people come here, get paid, so much money, and then retire here, but don't execute to the level that we want them to?
We're an attraction, dude. It's a
starting to sound like a sideshow, if anything.
Stephen Ross, when he bought the team, people forgot, and I tried finding the quote before we did the show. He blatantly said in so many words that he wanted to turn Miami and the Dolphins into a destination, and he has completed that. He's got a racetrack. He's got a team. He's got a tennis court. He's got all this shit. People in the off season go there to see the slide and the facility. It's become It's become a fucking sideshow. It become everything other than about winning football games. And the money has worked.
Well, if that's the case, then my advice for the Miami Dolphins were to rent out the facility for children's birthday parties, because that's what that would be more useful for them to do that than for them to play on Sundays.
I agree. I think, might as well, right?
You see a team that has no tenacity, no fight, no dog in them. And you see other teams, fucking bleeding, sweating. Like, this team is a joke.
Our veterans are getting rest days throughout the entire offseason, while the Kansas City Chiefs are playing 11-on-11 versus starters and playing their preseason games with starters. And they just won the Super Bowl and went through the entire fucking, long road to the Super Bowl, to get there. It's not like they had buys or none of that shit. And they're out there fucking grinding. The Kansas City Chiefs have remember they did that thing about the best places to play and worst places to play. Kansas City Chiefs dead last on that list as
Miami
not
Dolphins
great facilities.
Yep,
not great facilities. Meanwhile, their owner in the owner's box at the Chiefs Stadium, it's a 2-story fucking. It's got a full size kitchen in it. Hors d'oeuvres. It's got a fucking like a double-sided staircase that goes down with a fireplace and shit. All the elites just eating their fucking hors d'oeuvres and shit. Yeah, and the organization's suffering, but they got all that good shit by wanting to win football, not by worrying about how I can make money. And vice versa, like you said, the Dolphins with the greatest facility. They got slides, they got a ball pit, they got a sandbox, they've got those little eggs that you sit in, the quiet room. So when you're stressed and you need to take a nap, they got those little nap eggs that they can take. It's become like some fucking pussy thing in Silicon Valley, full of a bunch of fucking tech mogul guys. That's what it's become. That's the Miami Dolphins now, buddy. That's who we are.
Oh, it's not what I want. It's not what the fans want.
So I have an idea, John. And one day, and honestly, this has been going on. We're coming up to, in November, we'll celebrate our 3rd-year anniversary of starting this channel. And we ain't close yet. But one day I'll probably be 20 years older, but I don't give a damn, because I don't see any way out of this in the next 20 years. And anyhow, I want to do a thing and get enough fucking people to show up to the tailgate with their tickets purchased, everything like that, home game, televised, all that stuff, and nobody go in the stadium. Everyone just stay outside. Nobody go in, because you could say, oh, I'm not going to buy the tickets. Well, then the opposing fan base buys it, or some lemmings that are Dolphins fans buy it. But if you can get enough people to be there at the tailgate and stay out there, watch the game from out there, but not go into the stadium in a show of protest, because we ain't never going to, we could start a GoFundMe. We're not going to get $7.2 billion.
Like a change.org type thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a total blackout. And I thought about that actually this morning. I was like, what is it going to take for the Miami Dolphin fans not to show up? To send a statement back to the brass of the Miami Dolphins and say,
so they're going to show up. They're going to show up. So I'm just saying, let's just not go inside. Right.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly.
Because again, if you don't buy the tickets, someone else will, and then you're not getting anywhere. Right. You got to buy the tickets, control it, and then say nobody's going inside. And then what? They go in there and, half the stadium's full with mostly the opposing team and a couple of people who don't know what the hell's going on. I mean, could you imagine if 25,000 people didn't go up? The people that walked in, they're walking around like, dude, it's game day. It's kind of fucking empty in the stadium. What the fuck? They're sitting down. They're like, I seen all those people. They hear us cheering out there. They'll fucking leave. They're in the middle of the game walking out. Win or lose, doesn't matter. They're like, what's going on?
That's how you make a statement.
Take the power. You take the power back, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm dead serious, John. That is my plan whenever I can pull it off. I don't have the power or the fucking followers or everything, but God, dude, again, if we could plug this spider web big enough from all of us on all platforms to pull this off, it'll be the biggest haves versus have-nots victories for the have-nots I've ever heard of, bro. I've ever heard of.
No, it's definitely something that needs to happen.
Yeah.
It's the only message that we could send, the Miami Dolphins front office. But looking at it right now, I'm still seeing a lot of fans clinging on to that hope.
Oh,
clinging
yeah.
on to maybe that.
They're victory lapping right now. Tua's going to come back. Look at all you guys who love Skyler. I don't think anybody had any grandiose ideas about Skyler, right?
No.
I mean, some did. Some did. Let's call him
Pete.
Yeah, Pete, But hope, right? Hope there would be something else, not what we got. But they're taking their victory laps, counting down the days, laughing every Dolphins loss because Tua ain't here. And if and when Tua does come back, they're ready to pounce, right? As if Tua came back with a full clean bill of health and will never get a concussion again. Like, they have those facts. That's really where we're finding ourselves at an impasse. I just you know what, Color, I see you're in the back. Can you put a poll in chat for how many people would take part in a hold in, for lack of a better term, at the stadium?
Call it blackout. I like the term
yeah,
blackout.
we'll call it yeah, Color. If you could put a
sure.
poll, yeah, put it in the poll. Just say would you or would you not hold in? Yes or no? You know what I'm saying? Show up to the game, stay in the parking lot, have your ticket, not go inside as a term of protest to the team and its results.
So really quick, just 2 quick points, show notes. I'm really seriously contemplate wearing a brown bag Monday night.
Color, I don't think you'll be the only one.
Well, I was going to say, John, I think you were in that space earlier. I know of one other fan at least that plans on doing it. So get 2 people. Now you're starting to get the TV networks to look at you. You know what I mean? So
just as long as you write the Finn's tailgate on it, buddy, I think it's
the other thing is I went a little further on that points per game math you guys were talking about earlier, and I calculated all the way back to the Dallas game.
Oh, I did this the other day, Color, remember?
13.6 points per game since the Dallas win.
It's really 13. It is, when you round up, it's 13.6.
Right, it's 13.57, blah, 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 whatever. Yeah. Yep.
Since the Dallas game, a game we won 22 points, we scored that game.
Yep.
The Dolphins offense has been inept for a minute. For a minute, dog.
Sounds like Mike McDaniel got figured out. And
Tony's like,
and he has no answer for it.
Hell no, we won't go. Yes, I'm dead serious. That's the kind of shit. Like, it's gonna be hard to pull off, bro, because I'm asking people to essentially waste money. But I mean, listen, if it ends up like, on the news and people do it, like, I mean, fuck, props on us, right? Like, I'm dead serious. I want to pull this off. I want to pull this shit off.
What do you think? Do you think we've, as a fan base, we've reached our breaking point, or do you think that I think we're almost there. I don't think we've reached it yet. I think if we end up, see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I wouldn't be able to tell if Mike McDaniel is purposely losing games to tank for the season, or if he's actually trying now.
So here's the thing.
Because I would want them to tank at this point.
I don't think we're ever going to reach our breaking point until there's more of us, less of them. And as long as there is a hefty amount of people who have mouthpieces, whether they're creators or influencers or whatever the fuck you want to call them, that are willing to bite the bullet, radio show hosts, beat writers, all willing to bite the bullet to sell false hope because of financial gain and there's dummies that are going to fall for it. Until that's fixed, I don't think it's ever going to stop. Because, again, right what you said, you can't tell if they're trying to tank. And what if they are tanking? We're going to try to get Cam Ward. And if the Dolphins, again, tankathon watch, they'll sell that fucking narrative so good. They'll start promising you sweet nothings in your ear about Cam Ward or the Texas quarterback or whoever's the number 1 QB coming out. Dolphins are targeting him. They brought him in on a visit. They're going to fucking, tickle your balls, for lack of a better term, just like they do. And everyone's going to hype on it because it's the trending thing. And my YouTube clips get the money now because I got a bunch of views. They're prioritized. I made this channel, and there's hopes that it'll be successful. But it was always about fighting back against the false narratives of this organization and what they do, and helping get this fan base to actually open their eyes wide enough to be real Dolphin fans. Because right now they're all squinty and blurred because they don't know which way is up. And that was the ultimate credo of this thing.
Right.
And so until that balance has a shift, no, I don't think so. Because again, there's just too many people who are willing to sell whatever they're selling because they're trying to make their own money and look no further than going to the fucking games. John, I don't know when's the last time you went, but when I used to go to the games when I was younger, there wasn't people selling swag and selling food and selling event tickets for tailgate parties and shit like that. All that shit was free. You gave it to each other. It was a commerce. It was a coming to the table of what we love together. When I went last time, I spent like $2,200 on fucking bullshit that I gave away for free because that's what I was used to experiencing. But you go there now, and it's like out in front of a fucking concert where everybody's trying to get their piece. And hey, get your hustle on, dog. I'm about it. But that's become the identity of it, a hustle.
Yeah, or a Ponzi scheme, as you said. But overall, I hope, again, hope being the operative word, that something breaks, that something gives, and things turn around. But I don't see it happening in Stephen Ross's tenure. You have a general manager that not once but twice went to the fan base and said, "You're probably more worried than the offensive line than we are." Threw it in the fans' faces. They are literally mocking the
Laughing.
fans.
Literally laughing in our fucking face, bro.
You have Tyreek Hill going to social media and posting, "Oh, if you guys think that you could coach any better, then come on down to Miami and do it yourself," or something like that.
Dead ass, give it to me. Let a fucker like me in there. I'm gonna set everybody straight. Dead serious. I'm gonna talk to people like how you get talked about. Because I've coached. I coached my son's team. Get it? It's Pop Warner. Played football. Dude, I'm more of the ilk of what Don Shula was. We won, but we're breaking down this film and looking at all the things we did wrong, not what we did right. We won 46-0, but that ain't what I'm looking at. I'm highlighting where you fucked up. That tackle, that's on you, bro. You got it. That's how you get better. And anyone who's got their we're going to put together. That's what Mike McDaniel and his Dolphins doing. They're putting together highlight tapes every fucking week of the wins. Fuck out of here with that bullshit, bro. It's a bitch mentality. You ain't winning shit like that. You know what you doing? You stroking egos. Stroking egos. Fuck
That's all
out
it
of
is. That's all it's become.
That's what it is.
That's the fans are the ones that are paying the price at the end of the day.
The fans, they're complicit, John. They're complicit. They are complicit. They are more about being. They have these delusions that fucking Tua's going to read their tweet and be like, he knows that I'm on his side. That's their fucking problem. They're complicit in this.
So help me God, if we ever get another Alabama quarterback, I'm going to lose my mind. The amount of Alabama fans that are disguised as Dolphin fans in this fan base, there needs to be a case study done. There needs to be a case study done about Alabama quarterbacks and the effects that they have on NFL franchises, because I've personally seen Miami Dolphin fans that I thought were Miami Dolphins come out and say, "I'm only here because Tua is the quarterback."
Oh,
and if he were to go to some other team, I'll be a fan of that team. And I'm sitting to myself and I'm like, but you're the ones that are creating all the controversy. You're the ones that are creating all the discourse and the divide in the fan base, and you're not even real Miami Dolphins fans. And the ones that are
What's
real
good for
Miami
the
Dolphin
goose?
fans
What's good
are the
for the
ones,
goose is good for the gander, buddy.
bro. I am here for one thing, and that's the logo. It's not for a specific player. It's not for a specific coach. It's for the logo at the end of the day. And right now, I feel as if though the Miami Dolphins don't have an identity anymore. I don't know what the Miami Dolphins identity
But
is.
we have a great identity, buddy. The identity is we have the ability to turn the fan base against itself so we can do whatever we want to rise profits. Season tickets going up, baby. And guess what? They're not going to go down. Next, when the Dolphins fucking tankathon, say the Dolphins win one more game, we will only win two games, but we got the first overall pick. They're not going to the ticket price ain't going to go back down. They might not go up, but they ain't going down. They're not going to refund nothing. Shout out to that Dolphin fan with the Donny. He says, we should have known the outcome when we signed Poyer over Justin Simmons. Ooh, that's a fucking great point. The signing golfing friends, yeah, over the Super Bowl. That's fucking. Damn, I didn't even think about that because it's not like we ain't got a couple bones in the bank, right? You know, I think we're still plus like close to 20 something.
Are we 20?
No.
I thought we were 8 last time I checked.
Fuck, who the fuck knows? Who knows
we have
anymore?
Money. We
got
definitely
money.
have money. Yeah.
That's a good point, that Dolphin fan. So, John, let's look at this game coming up. This will be, we'll work towards an end here. I
really don't want to. I really don't want to. I really just don't. I really just whatever. I mean.
Well, I've been hearing this.
If we lose to a guy that puts mayo in his coffee again, I'm gonna lose my shit.
Oh my god, dude! Mayo in the coffee. That is fucking gnarly, dude.
An 0-3 Titans team.
Yeah. Against a reeling Miami Dolphins team on primetime Monday night.
Did you check
what a
the
fucking
spread?
sell?
Did you check the spread?
No, what was it?
+1. That's it. +1.
Pickup. It's a pickup with this terrible teams right now. What's crazy is right. The beat writers and fans alike and radio show people and whatever, and they're selling Dolphins need to get up. They got to be feeling some kind of way about how the Titans did them last year. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's what we got to do. We got to get up for the Titans. It was bad enough we lost to them last year, but let's not act like the Titans didn't fucking get lucky, which whatever. They beat our ass because they out physicality'd us, but whatever. I've literally there's photos coming out of the last 3 starts of Will Levis giving away football points to the other team, and the Dolphins.
God. He's had a photo every game this year.
Yes,
and somehow
and it's him with the ball going to the other team.
Yes, yeah,
I know. You seen that? You seen that tweet? I was like, damn, this is terrible. But that's the team. This team, the Dolphins need to get up for a team that anybody on paper minus Tua Tagovailoa in this equation would say fucking paper v paper. The Dolphins should blow this fucking team out. But no, we got to get up for it. This team? How embarrassing to even fucking live in that right now, bro. How embarrassing. It's like saying, oh, man, better put on your best zoot suit for this fucking fat, ugly chick you're going to take out. No. Nothing against the, thick bitches. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, it's an obvious guy that's putting on his 10 logo for an obvious one. You know what I'm saying? She's coming out with a wife beater with a stain on it and, still got crust from the last corn dog she ate. And you're supposed to fucking get up for that? Like, goddamn, dude, that's what we've become. That's what this team, that's the fans. And I see it, right? Because the other end of the spectrum is, oh my fuck, the Dolphins lost. Which probably, right? Like they continue to play how they have played on offense. You ain't winning nothing. I don't give a shit who it is.
So Color was on Twitter before. Me and him were talking. And the question was posed, if the Dolphins were to lose against the Titans, what is the percentage that Mike McDaniel gets fired? And I think, and I was explaining to Color, he put it, I believe it was at 51%. And I told Color, add another 24%, make it 75.
Wow.
And the reason I said that, assuming that they're not tanking, because if they are tanking, then Mike McDaniel stays right where he is until the end of the season.
Yes.
But assuming that they're not tanking and Mike McDaniel gets blown out, the reason I put it at 75% is because you're doing it on a national stage. You're doing it on Monday Night Football, and you're going to embarrass Stephen Ross at the end of the day.
Ooh.
Stephen Ross, who spent all this money on the team, and yeah, maybe he doesn't care about it. He cares more about
He
the
is
finances.
fickle. He is fickle. We know
But
this about him.
he has an ego, and he doesn't want to be embarrassed. And right now, I don't know if you saw the images of Dan Marino leaving the game.
First of all, Dan was wearing black, perfect for the funeral that he got to witness.
Yeah.
When he turned his back, my heart skipped a beat. I was like, God damn, we're fucking embarrassed. We're an embarrassment in front of the man right now, dude. That's fucking sad.
So how much more is Stephen Ross going to take? I think we find our answer this Monday night. And I think that if the Dolphins were to lose, if they're going to lose, they're going to lose handedly, probably like a plus 14. But if they do lose by that margin, I think that we might end up seeing the first time I think this would ever happen in NFL history where a coach was extended in the offseason and then fired 3 games or 4 games into the season.
Oh, no, we've done that a couple times. We've done that a couple times. We did that with Philbin. And I want to say we did that with Gase. No, Gase had a 5-year. No, I don't remember. I know we've done it. We did it with
remember the reason we had,
and we did it with
remember the
Philbin.
reason we had Dan Campbell was because we fired Philbin early in the season after like game 4 or 5.
And do you remember the team that we played right after we fired Philbin? And what
Houston Texans, and we whooped their rear ends.
Put 40-point plus, I think, 40 points.
It was like 44-12 or something
by the first half.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
And we gave Dan Campbell his first
walking
start.
papers.
Yep.
Ended up giving him his walking papers. That Dolphin fan again with the Dunny says, also, Mike McDaniel got out-coached by a first-year head coach Sunday. We should win versus the Titans. QB has the most turnovers, and Mike Vrabel is gone. Good point. This must be a win by 20+. I'll take a win by a fucking.
So Skyler's not starting because obviously the rib injury, that's obvious. Do they go Tim Boyle or do they start Huntley? Tim Boyle didn't look bad, but Huntley is
no. Tim Boyle didn't look bad. I hear so many people say that, and you're not wrong, right? But God, it's fucking Tim Boyle. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh fuck, dude.
Let me ask you a question. If Tim Boyle starts the game against the Seahawks, do they win?
No, bro. Nobody's winning. This team can't win. Tyreek Hill's dropping footballs, bro. That motherfucker don't care.
No, he doesn't. I think Tyreek Hill's on his way out, to be honest. I think he's had enough with the Dolphins.
No, I don't think I think they'll have to fucking drag him out kicking and screaming. He don't want to leave Miami for nothing, dog.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
He don't want to leave Miami for nothing.
He does love Miami.
So, yeah, this is ugly. I don't think listen, Andy, I see Andy in chat. He's saying Huntley. Maybe, right? Listen, it would be right on par that if Boyle does come in, he'll get injured. That seems to be the narrative with the Dolphins quarterbacks, that if Tua goes down, so does everybody else. Very interesting. One might say conspiratorial in that manner. Literally watch every quarterback that comes in after Tua getting injured, get injured. Huh. Kind of odd, John.
Tinfoil cap time?
I don't know, man. It's kind of weird. Like, okay, I mean, Skyler took a fucking beating. Let's call it for what it is, half of which is his own damn fault. But
100%.
That's neither here nor there. But, remember when Tua went down and then Bridgewater went down and Skyler went, like, it was a fucking carousel. Everybody and their mother going down. And it just, we were getting hit with the spotter. The spotter got us. He's seen it. Nobody else seen it, but that guy's seen it. And then it's just, to me, no matter who's in there, if they're not performing, ultimately a spotter will get them, and or they'll go down with some injury, real or fake, and then whoever's backing it up, Huntley will come in. Who's the third quarterback? Have they signed another one? I mean, what the fuck?
No, I think that's it. You notice how what's his name? Armstead is always out when Tua's out. Ain't that some shit?
It's almost like, oh, Armstead's on the sideline. Tua's still out there. He's going down. And he does. He does. Again, I wish I had the time and energy to sit and just really put together the conspiracy playbook for this fucking football team, because there's just too many fucking coincidences and too many things that happen eerily similar to things that have previously happened. We are on what I believe to be a 3-year cycle of a 7-year cycle that this organization has run on. And it's kind of like politics does it as well. Like, that's what we are, I think, personally. It just sucks, dude. Fuck, this sucks.
No, it's just,
we're on the hamster wheel, bro.
There's nothing. What's the definition of
insanity?
Insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Ask Stephen Ross; he's the one that publicly defined it. But real quick, just quick to interrupt on the poll results. Currently, 46 voted, 76% are saying yes, 24% say no. Would you support a fan holdout? Get your votes in, hit the like button, and let me get out of here.
Thank you. Yes. Look, sounds like they're down. That's where fans are right now. It's easy to say that now, but it would take a real hard organization of it. And people get too caught up in their feelings and hope for this football team, I believe. I don't know, John. It's this team has so much talent on it without a quarterback that
start trading. It's listen
for the soft rebuild.
I would do a hard rebuild. I would do the hard rebuild now and just get it over with. Just rip the Band-Aid off and just get it over with.
Yeah, but the problem is people that see that coming. People see that coming, and you don't get the value.
I don't think you're gonna get the value at the end of the day anyway. I don't think people are gonna come and see Jalen Ramsey. That or you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle has yet to have scored a touchdown, and we just paid Jalen Waddle. Tyreek Hill is dropping passes. The offense that put up 70 points against Denver is gone. That team seems like light years ago, but it's gone. We can't even
just real
muster
quick.
11 points a game.
John, don't you see how we're falling right into it again, though? With like potentially, I see the setup. I'm not saying you're wrong because it makes sense, and you're right.
Build the trenches. Do it right this time.
Fuck, they'll never do it, buddy. They'll never do it right, buddy. They'll never do it right.
Chris, there were 6 backup quarterbacks that played on Sunday. 2 of those backup quarterbacks were us, with Boyle and Skylar Thompson. The other 4 won.
All won. They all won.
Mm-hmm. You have a franchise quarterback, and don't get me wrong, Tua, great human, obviously great morals and everything like that. But if he were to sneeze, he'd go into concussion protocol. I don't want that as a franchise quarterback. I don't want to see my quarterback fencing with his hands every time he gets hit in the head and he's on the ground. I don't want to see a quarterback die on the field. That's not what we're paying money for. We're supposed to be entertained. We're not supposed to be going through PTSD every time he gets hit.
But the last time that they were trying to do what you're saying to do, they fired that coach, bro. That's not what they want.
Then if Mike McDaniel was the answer, nobody would be calling for his head right now. Not one person would be calling for his head and saying we should get rid of Mike McDaniel.
All Mike McDaniel has done, though, is promised them to win the way they want to win, with the quarterback they want, with the weapons they want to field. But the other guys, Sperano, Flores, telling them the way you need to win, agrees with you. We build the trenches. We build through the draft. We, create disciplined football. And in a 3-4 years down the road, we have a system. We have guys we could trust. We're paying them not exuberant amount of monies because it ain't about jersey sales, but we're deep in the playoffs. We're fucking there. That's not what this team wants, buddy. That's not what. Well, it's not what this owner wants. Ultimately, he wants flash, pizzazz. He wants everyone to. He wants to go up to the podium and say, "We just pulled off a great trade for Tyreek Hill." And not that Tyreek Hill ain't a great football player, but he's only one guy. He can't be,
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Because, and here's what I was saying, right? We sell off the assets. We start selling off the assets to do the rebuild. We now get a lot of cap back. We get, some draft capital. I don't see how much draft capital we'd get, but we would get money back.
We'd probably
now
get another first. We get another first.
In equal value, dependent. I mean, look, if we're talking about trading assets and you're really going to redo this, Jalen Phillips is on there.
I was going to say, I think you get a first for Jalen.
Yeah. I think Ramsey's on there. Waddle.
I think you get a second for HN.
Might as well put on Waddle. HN you wouldn't put because you still have him on young, cheaper money. Plus, you're not going to get a big trade offer for a running back. I mean, maybe at the end of the year, if he's the best running back in the NFL, you could get something for him, right? Right now, I don't know. Javon Holland, Tyreek Hill, who else? You wouldn't trade Chop Robinson because he's too young and too cheap and, stuff like that. But ultimately, there's 5 to 7 names on this football team that you're going to get rid of. So then you go and draft a quarterback. And then all the shortcomings of this quarterback's drafted, they're saying, well, he needs weapons. We don't know, blah, 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 blah. Because we haven't been so lucky to be in what we perceive to be a rebuild year and draft a guy like CJ Stroud and have success like that. We've never had that here. We've never had it. And we're never going to be so lucky.
I've never woke up once since however long and said to myself confidently that, we're going to beat this team or, there's always been that doubt. And
there was a short window last year, bro. There was a short window.
Yeah, probably after we beat the Bills. Probably after we beat the Bills. I remember that, yeah. I remember us going to Cincinnati and thought we were going to beat them. But it all starts with the quarterback position. And unfortunately, like I said before, you have a quarterback that's injury prone. And if you don't have a solid foundation with your quarterback position, then everything else is going to fall apart. Because like what you said, there's 2 things that matter for winning teams: a defense that makes plays and a quarterback that can make plays. And if you don't have a quarterback that can make plays, that affects the defense from making plays as well. Because you have a defense that's going to be exhausted. That's after how many 3 and outs that's going to be on the field, and eventually they're going to get gassed. You need so many times, quarterback.
Bro. You can't let a fucking team get into their fucking 10th page of their playbook on your defense and expect your defense to keep doing shit for you. It's just dumb, bro. So, let's wrap it up with this. What's your prediction for this game?
28-13, Tennessee Titans.
28-13. I wonder this, right? I think I'd be surprised if Dolphins score over 20 points, so I'll pick them to score 17 points, 1 touchdown coming from the defense. I'm taking the anytime defensive touchdown on this game. I think anybody see where the fucking plus money's at on it, but the anytime
Miami Dolphins.
Yes, anytime touchdown Miami Dolphins defense.
That's a good one.
I'm gonna place that bet.
That's a very good one.
I think it's 20-21-17, and Dolphins just don't get it done unless Huntley comes in there and he just runs around, makes plays, slings the ball around, just does free quarterbacking. There's no system anymore. That would work better. Shout out to Andy with the $5 donation. The biggest mistakes they made was getting rid of Hunt and Williams. I don't know about all that, Andy. I don't know about all that.
No one was going to pay Hunt $100 million. We weren't going to pay him $100 million.
Yeah, I don't know about that, buddy.
For a guard.
No, I don't know about that being the biggest mistakes. Biggest mistakes to me is they pivoted from the plan midway through the rebuild. They were going to rebuild through the trenches, become a team that was hard-nosed football, and grind out games to they want to fucking win games by 70 points and prioritize flash over reality.
Yep.
So, well, John, thanks for coming through, buddy.
No, Chris, it's been a pleasure.
We'll have to do
Thanks
it
for
again
having me.
sometime. I'll keep you posted because I'm going to be doing this every week. But at some point, I want to try to get as many people back on like a big panel to, hey, there's all the people that came by during the Tuesdays, and we'll just chop it up with a bunch of folks.
No, it's been great, Chris. Thanks for having me on. And
thanks, John.
Good luck.
Appreciate it. Thanks, brother. Whew. John, really, full circle for him and myself in this fan base, in this fucking team, just reality, right? And we talked about it. This team has backed itself in a corner. They put their money where their mouth is. That you got to pay to it. The market is the market. Show me the money. Yeah. We did. And for showing the money to guys on this team that we're depending on to be leaders, depending on to be, the reason we win football games. What the fans got outside of losing football is higher ticket prices and more heartache. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, guys. Thanks for coming by. We're going to be here. Catch Color tomorrow in the mornings. You're going tomorrow in the morning, right, Color? Catch Color tomorrow in the mornings. Either way.
Yes, I should be a go for tomorrow. I just took a little hiatus today because busy week last week.
Color live at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you guys are checking it out. Been a great show. Crypto doing his Monday middays. Ali on the weekends, and Shake Money with the Insomnia, the Drive Time, the Smoke Lounge. Shake all in these streets, boy. The homie Shake holding it down all over the place, and myself. We're going to keep it here. We're going to be objective. We're going to keep it real. We're going to tell you what you don't want to hear because we love and respect you enough not to lie to you. That's the facts. We love and respect you enough not to fucking bullshit you. Family ain't nice to each other. They're going to tell you, damn, dog, go take a shower. You fucking stink. You know what I'm saying? They're going to tell you how it is, not how you want it to be. And that's what we do here at the Fitz Tailgate. Hit the like button, subscribe. We'll see you guys next time.